Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Premarketinfo.
Well, lots of earnings here. We're right in the middle of it all. We might as well start with Ford because they just reported earnings here this morning. 31 cents against estimates of 25 cents. And that chart, that pre-market chart that you're looking at is correct. This stock traded up to $14.95 here this morning off their earnings, but is now trading down.
What a move for Ford on 3 million shares. We talk about using the pre-market to perhaps exit trades, and holy smokes, if you had a target at 1450 or 1460 in the Fordster, you could have gotten your stock as it traded up to that level and came right back down. I think you got to go to the dailies here and kind of forget about this pre-market activity and look at the multiple highs between 14 and a quarter and 1430. We're still quite a ways from there. Did have a double top from Friday and Monday, 1382 to 1384, but boy, I think we're really might even struggle to get back over 14 today.
Yeah, crazy move in the premium. I cannot believe that Ford can trade up over $1.40 on, they did beat, the numbers were 31 cents against 25. They were pretty good numbers, but then they start reading into the report, and the European sales were weak, and then they start beating it up, and actually the stock's trading down 20 cents now. So it's been a wild ride here for Ford over the last hour since they reported. Pfizer reported earnings here too, and the stock actually trading up just a little bit, right around a critical $27 level. Right there, right now, trading at that level, and that $27 is actually pretty big here.
Here's another unusual spike in Pfizer.
It's ridiculous this morning, some of these spikes.
I hope you had your 3 and 4 or 5% deviation offers out there on these stocks, Dennis.
Wow.
27.50. I hit that on much less volume than Ford. Ford was a couple 100,000. This only went up on about 4,000 shares. Came crashing down after that, currently trading at 26.97. Just take a look at yesterday's range here. You had a high at 27.14. I still keep an eye on that as resistance. Major resistance has been the high of the move at 27.30. Coming back on the downside, we really got a better level to concentrate on the downside. You had the previous three lows between 26.76 and 26.84. So as long as Pfizer stays above that level, it's good to go north.
Yeah, the numbers were 47 cents against estimates of 44, so they beat by 3 cents. I am seeing a little bit of size in the New York book. It's starting to accumulate in the $27 area. So that's going to be my bogey. If this thing obviously stays below 27, then I get nervous if it starts to break down, especially if it broke down below the settlement price of 26.84. We've seen what Ford obviously did after their earnings. It seems like some stocks can report good earnings and actually go down, and then some stocks report bad earnings and go up. It's a wacky world. But
And Kevin just piped in here about the news algos on this. I mean, we hate to blame everything on the algos, but who else would make Ford move over a buck in the It doesn't move a buck in a month.
Yeah, no, exactly, Joe. And Kevin, it's a great point actually, because we've talked about these in the past. The news algos read the headlines, they read, oh, they beat, and they just buy it all the way up. And sometimes it's just one algo. I mean, liquidity is very low sometimes, especially when these companies are about to report. Nobody wants to sit their order out there and get picked off. So all of a sudden, if you're like some news algorithm and you think you want to own it, it just buys up whatever's in the book. And if there's not that much there, it can have a sudden spike up, like in the Pfizer case, up to 27.5. And then obviously real liquidity starts to come in. They start to digest the report, and the stock starts to pull back down. But crazy spikes here. Let's go to the Yahoo. Yahoo reported last night 32 cents against estimates of 28. Stock is trading higher. Again, it was wild here. Look at the pre-market or the after-hours action after the report. It spiked up, pulled back down, then slowly climbs up. So wild volatility there for Yahoo last night.
Yahoo, this stock has been on a tear here since November, climbing from 1650. If it was back in the old days, we could have played the triple top here at the 2050 level, but we didn't get a chance to do that. We have broken above there, had three highs between 2048 and 2052. If you do get a shorting it off the open, it pulls back anywhere to that 2050 to 2060 level. I will look for that as major support since we're trading above it. Going a little bit long, well, even on a weekly, we can't find support. Let's go to the resistance. Going to the monthly chart here, we're busting above those highs from August and September of 2008 at 2082. That's currently where we're trading. And then you're getting a whole vacuum area up to the $26 level. And I believe that when it came down off that 32, 34 level is when Microsoft walked away from the table.
Yeah, and then obviously it's actually looked good though. Like we've been talking about, a lot of the stocks that had bad years last year have been having a very good 2013, and Yahoo is no exception. It's actually been rallying since back in November, like you said, when it came from the $16 area. So where it stops, who knows? But the number's actually pretty good from Yahoo. Eli Lilly also reported earnings. We've got a ton of earnings today. 85 cents against estimates of 78 cents. Stock actually did spike up originally off the earnings report. It looks like, well, actually spiked down. Had a little spike down, looks like, on the chart there. Spiked up. Now it's kind of trading flat. The last trade at 52.67, just up 3 cents on the Lilly earnings.
Yeah, spotty trades here. You did find someone willing to sell some stock at 53.50. Lo and behold, if you go to the daily levels, you have a double top at 53.77. So look for that 53.5 to 53.77 area to be major resistance. Coming back on the downside, you had two lows. You had a low from Thursday and a low from Monday, 52.46 and 52.60. I think that is going to be major support here. We're actually trading right there. I think if you dip below 52.50 here, Dennis, you might have some real estate to cover on the downside. Doesn't look like a lot in the 51 handle.
The earnings from the pharmaceutical companies, honestly, they don't always move the stock that much. You often see, like the pharmaceutical, they might move a little bit pre-market after hours, but a lot of times it's muted activities. The pharmaceutical companies move more on drug news than they do on earnings news, but sometimes they can have some significant moves. So, well, it'll be interesting to see where Lilly does go today. VMware is your disaster stock of the day. Stock reported last night. They actually beat by 3 cents, 81 cents against estimates of 78. But they lowered guidance. The guidance, the sales actually for 2013, they're seeing 4.35 billion to 5.23 billion. Estimates were up at 5.42 billion, so pretty large lower guidance there. Stock is absolutely getting murdered here. You can see by the chart, it just keeps continuing to fall here. It's at the low in the pre-market session at 79.85.
Holy smokes. I mean, we talk about these pre-market charts, and sometimes you have a spike down, and then you get like a rounding bottom, and it starts to head up. Well, you're not seeing that in this this VMware chart here. This thing is a freight train. But let's go to I got to go out to the monthlies here, Dennis, in order to find any kind of support in this. You had a monthly low at 79.46 in July of 2012. So far, we've traded down to 79.67. I don't know if I'd be jumping out to get long at 79.50, 80, but if I was short and holding this stock for a long time, boy, I'd have to take a long look at that level.
It's got 19 points back if you were short the thing, so
correct.
I'd be drilling a little bit too. EMC is obviously related to VMware. They own a big chunk of them. They are trading down in sympathy, but also EMC reported earnings this morning of 54 cents versus 52 cents. So you have an EMC with that small beat, but I don't think it matters. You can actually see on the chart, it's interesting. It spiked down last night there on the VMware earnings, then spiked up on its own earnings report. Look where it spiked to right there at the 25.15 area. And then obviously selling back off now that their earnings weren't good enough to obviously compensate for the VMware big miss. So if you were on top of it there, you probably could have got a good sale off there in the pre-market on their little earnings spike.
Yeah, look now. Looking where it's trading now, you have a pre-market low of 23.78. Looking at the charts here, you had some lows back at in the middle of the month at 23.87, 23.89. Let's keep an eye on those levels. If you break down to that, you still have some more support here at 23.59. So it is getting beat up, but nowhere like the VMware.
International Paper also reported earnings 69 cents against estimates of 63. Stock's trading down though. It's hard to figure out these earnings reports. You think, oh, they beat by 6 cents, it should rally. Nah, it's actually just it's had such a run. From December, we were down at 35 bucks. We're now up at 42. A lot of this was probably already priced in. They didn't beat it by enough, so they are beating up the stock this morning. It's trading down 60 cents on light volume though, 3,800 shares only.
Yeah, not much for IP here. You do have a low at 41 and a quarter. But if you go to the dailies here, Dennis, you had multiple lows at the 41.52, 41.62 level back on the 18th and the 22nd. You had a 41.69 low yesterday. So keep an eye on that whole 41.50 area. If you still can hold that, you got a chance to rally. You break out below this 41.50 level, and there's not a lot of real estate down to 41.
Harley-Davidson also reported earnings, HOG. Full disclosure, I do have a trading position in Harley-Davidson. They actually did miss. The stock reported, just trying to find the report here, 31 cents. Oh yeah, 31 cents against estimates of 32. So they missed by a penny. Stock is trading down 35 cents here. Got one little spike up there, but is starting to sell off a bit here now.
The level that I'll be concentrating on in the hog is the double bottom you had at 52.85, 52.86. That's currently where we're trading. I think if you can hold that level, you still got a chance to rally, test the high of the move up at 54 bucks. But if not, same story with this. You take out the 52.80 level. A lot of real estate down to 51.72. I think you might see some profit taking in the hog.
Home Builders DHI reported earnings here this morning. That stock actually trading up significantly here. They beat by 6 cents, 20 cents against estimates of 14 cents. Stock spiking up to 22.20 here in the pre-market, now trading at 22.17. You're running into a host of resistance here though. When you get here in the higher 22s, 22.30, 22.40, that was the area we were topping out in October and November. So
Correct.
I think you might be running into a little bit of trouble right there.
Right, yeah, and then you have the high from a few days ago at 22.15, and then those highs that you remarked about, 22.30 in November, and also 22.32 in October. So opening up into some major resistance here, trading quite a bit above the major support. You had a low at 21.11 yesterday. Doesn't look like that's going to come into play. Let's see what happens at this 22.30 level.
Well, it was a good day for Apple yesterday. Finally, that stock gets a little bit of a relief rally here. We've obviously been selling off here for a few days. 435 where it closed there from 2 days ago, had that big gap down at the close on Friday, so we thought it might retrace a little bit of that move. It's continued to rally here, though, and you've got this trade that seems to be on now. It seems to be just opposite the market. When the market's going down, Apple's going up. When Apple's going down, the market's going up. So basically the trade, I guess today or yesterday started to buy Apple and sell the market. It's continuing here this morning because Apple is up $4 in the pre-market and the S&P futures are down 4 points.
Yeah, is that a V bottom for you, Dennis, or is that a double V there?
You know what? It needs to have some type of things just don't go straight down. Obviously, fundamentally speaking, I like the company. I like it from a fundamental perspective and from a long-term perspective.
You've liked it since 600.
Yeah, well, it's fundamental. Well, I didn't like it at 600. That's not true. And then we were bearish that thing going all the way down. I think actually we've been pretty good on the Apple, although now I'm starting to get to a point where it starts to look pretty damn good from a valuation perspective. I actually did nibble in my investment account, not for a trade because I don't like picking bottoms when I'm trading, but in my long-term portfolio for my wife and I did buy some Apple there just a couple of days ago. So it's doing better here today. long term, I like it. Short term, obviously at 435, it needs to start. It needs to stay above there for sure.
There's got to be some juicy premium in those puts. I'm sure people there are
Oh
probably
yeah.
just all over those. So that's one way to play it. Of course, you do have risk on the downside when you are selling puts. Taking a look at the chart, those that were waiting to buy at yesterday's low got shut out. 435 was the low on Friday. Only got to 435.86 yesterday. So if you're going for a longer-term swing trade, you feel like buying it here around the 450 level, you have an excellent reference point here at 435. Coming back on the upside, we are trading just about at yesterday's high. I would only consider that mild support. If you get a chance perhaps to pick this up under 450, the close 449.83, you have a lower risk long. Going back to resistance points, you have a two-day high of 456.23, and then you start to get into this whole gap area up to 465. So there's definitely room for Apple on the upside.
Look at Netflix chart because it's moving opposite to Apple as well. Netflix topping out yesterday, and then obviously having so doing all right this morning here, just hanging out, down 80 cents. But I wouldn't be surprised if you do see some follow through here again. This was a crazy one. It opened up, traded up $3-4, kind of, and then just around 10-12 o'clock, just started to sell off and had no mercy on the stock. They beat it down for 11 points between 12 and 1 o'clock there yesterday. So I'm thinking you got this opposite trade. When Apple's going up, Netflix is going down. Netflix going down, Apple's going up. It's the same thing that we're seeing in the overall market as well.
Okay, you do have a reference point here. Yesterday's low was 160.79. We're currently trading that level. If that level can hold, you get a pop up to the close. I'm sure you get some sellers there. I just can't see how anybody that had the guts to buy the stock under $100, sat through the earnings, didn't sell it the first day of the earnings, didn't sell the second day after earnings, and they're just sitting on enormous profits here. It's mind-boggling to me that this thing hasn't given more back.
Yeah, well, nothing gives it back quickly, but giving back 17 points from the high yesterday is a pretty good pullback. I just wouldn't be surprised if you've seen some follow-through here and the stock started to drift down below that 160. I think it could quickly be in the 150 area too, so critical that it holds that 160 level. Let's talk about Amazon. They're going to report earnings here tonight. Stock did top and looks like almost a double top there from yesterday up there in the 280. Where did it get up to?
277.70, 277.80.
So you got Amazon looking a little bit toppy here on the charts. Yesterday it was getting up in the 284 area. So
Correction.
had a double top.
That's the pre-market. 284.48, 284.72 on the daily.
So he almost got a double top up there, which is interesting. But we know technicals take a back seat when fundamentals are coming out tonight. So we'll have to see where the earnings go. But if you're trading an intraday today, obviously keep an eye on that 284 area. Some major resistance up there.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, very, very well stated there. You got the double top there. Probably a big seller kicking around at 285 in someone's book. So someone's cherry picking off that large offer, selling, in the 284.50 to 284.70 area. Coming back on the downside, really the only support level you have is 274.40. That's the all-time highest low for the stock. So you get below 274.40, and you got some room on the downside.
Let's take a look at the overall market here. We are pulling back. We had a little bit of a pullback here yesterday. We're getting some resistance in that 1500 area. Just kissed it there 2 days ago. This morning got up to 1498.75. So definitely seeing a little bit of resistance for him here around 1500.
And I got the number of the day, the number of the week, and the number of the month.
What's that?
In the S&Ps.
What's that?
1490.
1490 is big, is it?
1490. Yep. You had a low on Friday at 1491 and a quarter. You had a low yesterday at 1491. You got a low in the pre-market at 1491. So that's either forming a triple bottom to blast through the $1,500 level, or if we break that 1490 level, we might finally have a pullback in this already well overextended bull run.
That's our show for today. Have a great trading day. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow.